Hello again, it's Theta, aka the Monotone Messiah, aka your friendly neighborhood nihilist, and today we're going to cover capping, also known as sending the uplink, if you're not hip to the cool Onward lingo within the competitive community. Now, this is not a subject that experienced players will care that much about, although you might still learn something from this, so I suggest you watch it. This is geared mostly towards people who are new and aren't sure what to do and what the cost-benefit analysis is of capping. And in this one, I managed to get the help of both Chief Pineapple and Menorchid, so thank you ahead of time to both of those guys. Anyway, let's get into the footage. Let's start with the absolute basics. What does it mean to send an uplink? What it means is that you're within range of the objective, which is this white dot on the tablet, and the tablet, in case you're really that new, is a piece of hardware that you can access by reaching behind you and pulling it out. I'm not going to say exactly which button because it depends on your controller, but you pull that out and it gives you information about the map you're on. Specifically, it shows you green dots for any friends that are on the map, and it also shows you the location of the uplink. If you're playing on Marsoc, your whole objective is to either kill the other team or send the uplink. And there's a big advantage of sending the uplink because it gives you 2 points instead of 1. You get 1 if you eliminate everybody, but you get 2 points if you can send the uplink. So there's a real risk-reward that goes into doing this. As you can see, when you're sending an uplink, you have to focus your attention and, most importantly, keep your hands busy on this tablet, which means you can't defend yourself. And if you're the very last person on your team, you can get on the uplink. If anybody hears or sees you, they can kill you and there's nothing you can do about it. But if you can get away with it, you get 2 points, and that's a big deal. You can win an entire match that way. You could be behind 2 to 3 out of, you have to hit 4 points in case you're not aware. You have to hit 4 points, and if you're a 2 to 3, then you can win the match just by getting a cap, even though you're behind, because it suddenly becomes 4 to 3. So it's an important subject to understand. Anyway, let's just go over what it looks like to cap. So as you can see here, you get a code and you press send uplink. This is important too. You can go back while you're entering it in case you forget it, like me, and send it like that. Once you put it in, then you press the send button. If this goes blank and you don't see anything after pressing send, that means you put in the wrong code. It'll also give you a little error sound like meh, in which case you need to put it in again. You can put it in as many times as you want as long as you can stay alive. Preferably you do it all in one go, or at the very least you put in something like half of the numbers, go back and look at the code, and then put in the rest. The first thing to understand about sending the uplink is that you have to be within a certain distance to send it. And the axes for this are not just horizontal. In other words, you don't need to just be standing next to it, but they're also vertical. And we'll go into this more a little later in the video, but for now, just realize that you can send an uplink by being above it, by being below it, and also by being in a wall right next to it, even though it's not visible, which catches a lot of beginner players off guard. So you can see in this video, I go specific distances, and right here I'm behind these boxes and I can still send the uplink even though I can't see it. And now I'm outside the range and I can't send the uplink. And you'll see I just go around the uplink and highlight that I can still get it even though I'm some distance away from it. Let's see what a complete cap looks like. So pull out the code, send uplink, put it in. Volk is about to come around the corner, but they're too late. I make fun of them, and that's the end of me. It's also worth pointing out that yes, you can in fact be shot after you send the uplink. It's a nice way to pad your score if you're really into that sort of thing. The use of smokes is tightly connected to the idea of capping, primarily because it gives you cover and generates some uncertainty about what's going on around the uplink. The best capping teams, like I would say Animal House is a great one to watch for, they spend a lot of time and energy thinking about how to place their smokes, and then when they play people on maps that they're very good at capping on, the entire uplink just becomes one giant cloud of smoke. It becomes very hard to see who's in it and whether anybody has tablet out and is starting to cap. So as you can see here in this demonstration, the smoke is completely blocking the uplink from the perspective of the defender. And this is an effective strategy for concealing yourself when you're capping. If you are defending the uplink, in other words, if you're on Volk, then there's an interesting way to at least delay a cap that'll buy you a few extra precious seconds if you see somebody with tablet out or there's a giant smoke cloud or whatever. And you can see that in action here. So code's going in, Flashbang comes, and the person capping can't see anything anymore. Within those few seconds, it's possible for the defender to come and kill the person who's capping. So if you don't know exactly where they are, but you have a good sense that maybe somebody's on the objective and maybe you're the last one up, and you happen to have a flashbang, it's a good idea to throw one, if only to buy yourself those few seconds and figure out if somebody is on the objective, so they won't be able to cap. In fact, there could be multiple people trying to cap, which does happen sometimes, but if you flashbang them, they're out of luck. Let's see how these concepts can get applied in real-world situations. Now, this is a toy example to some extent because I only have two people in here, Chief Pineapple and Menorkid, but these situations we're going to review are common. You do see them in real games, and they highlight a lot of what we've been talking about. So in this situation, Chief and Mono are the last ones on their team, and Mono is defending the uplink. You can see it on the map right here. Chief is coming from the direction of the helicopter, and this helicopter two-story building right here, it's interesting because it can be capped from multiple angles. Mono is watching only one of them. Let's see what happens. So Mono spots him, knows that Chief is coming around, but there's this little back entrance, and Chief can cap through the wall. Mono is rushing. This is the fastest route he can take to stop this cap. But it's not going to happen. And Chief even took his time here and still managed to send the uplink. And then he died after Mono shot him at the end. So, as we saw, as we were talking about before, you can cap through a wall. And this creates interesting situations for people who are defending. If you are not directly on objective, and you're not able to hear anything, there are many situations like this, not just on Downfall, where you can get capped on even though you think you have everything covered. So especially if you're a new person, you need to be aware of all the different places that you can get capped on, and don't just assume that because you can't see somebody that they can't send the uplink. That's all I've got for today. If you have any questions, you have any feedback, anything like that, feel free to leave it in the comments. You can also reach me through Discord. I'm in the Onward channel. You can also follow me on Twitter, send me messages there if you'd like. And of course, like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. All right, Theta over and out. I'm recording that bad boy. Oh, it stopped. Jesus Christ.